Okay, Miles.
Oh, hey Google.
Can I be in the intro?
I guess so.
Great. I know what to say.
What?
Welcome to the show. Was that good?
It'll do.
It was way better than anything you could have done.
You do know I tell you what to say, right?
I thought you said not to say anything about that. Our little secret.
Hang on, I never said to keep secrets.
But you said.
Remember what I said about that, Google? I don't want to waste money, but I do like to have a modern phone. Have you ever wondered what is the exact best time to upgrade your phone? I mean, I don't want to throw away money, but I don't want to have a phone that is falling behind. Well, that's what this is all about. Where do I start? First, I don't plan on buying brand new phones. They're too expensive. And second-hand phones are pretty good, really. I've been buying second-hand phones for my wife for ages now, and they've always turned out pretty well. Just think about the quality level phone manufacturers are achieving these days. It is amazing. Think about the amount of abuse and constant use they get, and they keep working. All my old phones still work perfectly when they got replaced. They might be a bit rough around the edges, and sometimes the battery isn't 100%, but if they work at all, they tend to work perfectly. And you can replace batteries. Also, many people upgrade their phones as soon as a new one is available. You know, they have a plan and they don't care. Buying them on the plan, their old phone becomes useless to them. But it still works perfectly. Modern phones are perfect for second-hand purchasing as far as I can tell. So what is the right time to buy a phone? It's somewhat of a subjective thing. I was struggling to figure out for a while and then it eventually came to me. There are only two main forces at play. I would always like the newest phone possible. And I don't want to spend heaps. Those are the two forces or guidelines, but they're not precise. The first statement, newest phone possible, that really means out of all the phones available that I can pick from, I want to pick the newest one. So that's sort of easy, actually. The second guideline, not spending too much. So this one needs specificity. How much exactly is too much? And how many times can I try to say specificity before it is too much? I pondered this for a little while. I mean, not the specificity part, but the too much money part. And decided that an annual phone budget would be a nice way to limit spend. I decided on $200 per year. That didn't sound too unreasonable. Actually, it seems pretty fair. Okay, so we have some boundaries. But before I got to set those out, I actually did this next bit first. Before I knew how this would work, I decided that getting second-hand prices for any phone was a must. Not just the price right now, but the price over the lifetime of the phone, from release to redundancy. In order to know the best time to upgrade, I needed to predict prices. Actually, I'm not entirely sure I succeeded at this. I'm sure there is a better way to figure out the second-hand value of a phone than how I did it. My first search didn't turn up any historical second-hand prices. I could get prices for every phone today. That was easy on eBay. But what was the price 6 months ago or a year ago? And equally obviously difficult was what is the price a year into the future. What I could find, though, was the online retail price history. For instance, Price Spy tracks new prices over time. So that got me sort of a price history, except it wasn't for second-hand. I would have to convert that to a second-hand equivalent. I did that by looking up the current second-hand value of every phone on eBay, only showing used prices. I did that for phones of all different ages. This gave me a relationship between new online prices and second-hand prices. for the same phone at the same age. Now, because I had that info for many phones from the same family, like say the Galaxy S7 and S8, S9 and S10, I could figure out an average of how second-hand prices tracked new phone prices. I turned that relationship into a transform function for each family of phones. That is an equation where I put in a new price and it spits out the second-hand price. Combining all of the above, looking at historical trends in phone prices and also knowing how second-hand relates to that, I could now predict second-hand prices. This is getting a bit complex at this point. If you're following along, good work. If I've lost you, ask in the comments below, or just assume this. I now have a way to predict second-hand prices for any new phone into the future. The next part of the equation was to figure out how to turn that into a useful mechanism for giving me an update schedule. I'll skip my failed attempts and just go to the end where I decided to get real. As a side note, I have two main tips for trying to model things in Excel. 1. Spread things out. So rather than trying to figure out everything in one single big equation, spread out the equation across the spreadsheet. That way you can understand the process better and also troubleshoot problems better, so you only have small equations to figure out little errors in and not one big equation which is too hard to figure out. My second tip is to get real. So, if you're trying to understand something about the real world or something about a tangible thing, start with that tangible thing or that actual whatever it is, bit of data, and then add your equations to it and any other abstract stuff you have. As an example of that last point, I decided to actually put down real dates in a column. Then next to that real, second-hand values for each phone at each date. I knew the release date for each phone, and then I knew how each phone devalued over time, so I could get the second-hand value for every single date. It was then easier to also add a budget amount that accumulated fortnightly at a prorated value of $200 per year. It seems simple like this, but before I did it this way, trying to think of a way to put all these things into a single equation, or a couple of equations, was just too hard for me. Once I had all that, the deciding equation ended up being simple. When the budget was more than the cost difference between the phone I had and the next phone up, then it was the right time to buy. So here, with the data I have for the Note series, the Samsung Note series of phones, if I say I saved up about $200 by now, then pretty soon it'll be the right time to upgrade to the Note 9. I currently have a Note 8. And I can also see that in about a year's time after that, I can then upgrade to the Note 10 Plus and still stay within my budget. So I think that's probably what I'll do. Now you could say, well, what if you waited longer, didn't buy the Note 9, and just saved up for the Note 10 directly? How will that turn out? Well, with this system I can run that experiment. Here I can see that if I skip the Note 9, I only get the Note 10 a few months earlier than if I didn't skip the Note 9. And with that way, I end up having to use the Note 8 then for that whole time, when arguably the Note 9 is a superior phone. And I've only saved, well, I haven't saved anything. I'm still saving up at the same rate. But I get the Note 10 just a few months earlier. I think it's worth having the Note 9 and then waiting a little bit longer to get the Note 10. So there you have it. With a system like this, I can run a little thought experiment, and then I can know for sure which way is better. In fact, I could do the same thing for many different phones if I really wanted to, and different budgets as well. And so something like this you could use to determine for yourself when is the best time to upgrade your phone. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and well, I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, see ya.